Hi traders, how to scale a Gann fan. You've arrived at part 2 of a 3-part series on how to scale a Gann fan. Now this video is a bit of a deep dive on the subject and will help really cement why on earth you would bother to scale a Gann fan in the first place. So let's start right there, shall we? Why scale a Gann fan? If you have a bit of a base knowledge of any of Gann protocols, you'll know that identifying and using a 45-degree angle in charting analysis is a key concept. The simple explanation is that market action that holds equal or above 45 degrees is considered bullish and below 45 degrees is considered bearish. And if you've got a 45-degree angle at play, it can become a real-time rather than lag time barometer to help read the true veracity and momentum of price action. Now when you pull up a Gann fan on your platform, and by the way, not all Gann fans are created equal on all platforms, I'm sorry to say. They're called Gann fan, they look like they do the job, but actually they've got incredible line instability when they plot forward and other distortion issues. This is why if you're serious about experimenting or charting with Gann protocols, you'll need a sophisticated charting package. And this is why my preferred platform is always NinjaTrader. It has some next-gen Gann tools in its toolbox, and they're tools that you're not going to find on any other platform out there, guaranteed. One last thing to say, if you haven't got NinjaTrader and would like to try it, you can download it for free with free end-of-day data as well, and you'll find some links for that in the description below. So back to my original point, when we pull up a Gann fan on our charts, we're looking at applying an instrument that is effectively a crossover tool from the world of hand charting. Okay, stop and think about that for a moment. Once upon a time, hand charting was the only charting route there was, right? And think about it, if you were hand charting, you would be working with a good old-fashioned ruler and protractor, and you'd be measuring the speed of each rally or each trend line in degrees. Simple, right? Now, in the landscape of hand charting, 45 degrees is also referenced as a 1-by-1 scaling unit, because if you attempt to draw 45 degrees on a piece of graph paper, and by all means try this yourself, at any point on that line of that 45 degrees that you're drawing, there'll be equal movement on both the time and price axis on your graph paper. So this explains for you why 45 degrees is considered the ultimate harmonic angle in charting. It's just basic geometry, and it's taking in both axes on your chart, not just the price axis. So now what happens when you port that logic from the hand charting arena into the digital landscape? Let's just do it. Let's just draw 45 degrees on a chart. And the best way we'll do that is construct a square like so, and then cut the square in half, because half a square is 45 degrees, right? Now look what happens when I alter the zoom of the chart's price time axis. Aha! What was once labelled 45 degrees is now subject to a compression shift and doesn't label as 45 degrees anymore, so it's unreliable. And that's the reason why you just can't draw 45 degrees by eye or using a protractor in a digital landscape. So now let's look at how we scale to overcome these compression issues. So we are going to pick the apple right from the tree on this one and pull in the work of the very well published and recognized Gann educator Michael Jenkins and run through his easy chart scaling technique. You'll find this gem buried on his stock cycles forecast website, which I'll list in the link below. The easiest way, he writes, to scale to get accurate results is to set up a time and price grid on your charts. So in other words, he's saying be sure that you reference both price and time axis on your DigiCharts in this scaling process. He goes on to say, determine the first impulse wave top, which represents 1 unit of price advance, and a time grid that puts 1/4 of the time unit at the first top. Okay, so let's do it in real time. Here's a chart. Here's a turning point for a new cycle on that chart. Here's what we would call the first impulse wave out in the bull rally from that turning point, and we're going to connect the low and high of that wave with a line. Next, we create a grid using those 2 reference points and making sure we construct that grid referencing both the time and price axis like so. We can do this with a vertical and horizontal frame up around the high and the low. Now, by boxing up the move like this, what we've actually done is created a distorted rectangle that is in the same distortion as the chart's time and price scale. So in other words, we now have a reference point in the same compression ratio as the computer screen that you're working on. Now we assign some relative scale to the grid, and Jenkins suggests we line up the first angle of ascension on the first flush out of the rally from the low to the high, and we label that as a 4x1 angle. So we're saying we're assigning a fixed reference point to this first flush out. To assign that, we consult with the points per bar values on our Gann fan to get it to line up with the line we've struck through the low to the high of the move, and we keep playing with our points per bar inputs until our pink angle lines up with that line. For this, I'm using the speed key feature of the Gann fan in NinjaTrader 8, and this is so I can access the property changes directly on screen. Just one of the features of the pimped up Gann fan you'll find in the custom Gann Fan toolbox of NinjaTrader 8. So after some playing around, we have that value established, and next the word quadrant suggests that this is a quarter of the picture. So what we do next is to replicate this box out to 4 times its actual size. You'll need to use your online ruler for this to get the precision. Having quadrupled the size of the initial reference grid, these 4 quadrants together now represents a square in the digital landscape that overcomes time and price distortions of the computer you're working on. And what happens if you cut a square in half? You get 45 degrees, right? And on a Gann fan, 45 degrees is represented by the 1x1 angle. So I'll place our Gann fan back over the grid, and it proves the logic. The 1x1 angle is cutting the overall grid in half. We've cut our scaled square in half to get our 45 degrees. And hence now you have a Gann fan scaled to that time and price cycle. Remember, the real bonus here is that you're referencing both time and price. There are 2 axes on any chart. One is price, the other is time. And this scaling will remain in place until the cycle expires or squares out. What to do with the information now on offer from this scaling? Well, be sure to check out part 3 of the series for that, and I'll show you how I use this kind of information for my trading. I'll include all the reference links in the description below for everything discussed here, including how to download NinjaTrader or where to find the Gann Fan Speed Key tool available in NinjaTrader 8. Plus there's a lot more videos on the channel that share with you gems from the School of Hard-Won Knowledge, things you're never going to read in a book, and edge tools you're not going to find on any other platform.